Welcome back to another session of the Hopry. My name is Mark Starr, and today I'm back in the kitchen for round two. So most of the beers that I share with you here on the Hopry are beers that I've already researched, whether before I actually purchased the beer or just shortly after. This one, on the other hand, though, is a beer that I know virtually nothing about. I was kind of walking around one of my liquor stores the other day, and I thought it'd be kind of fun to do a session where I reviewed a beer that I actually knew nothing about. And when I say, review a beer I know nothing about, I just kind of want to go into it blindly. I want to let the experience kind of guide the review more than anything else. Now, I did one piece of research on this beer, and that was mainly just to find out how you actually say the brewery's name. Now I'm going to try this and hope I don't butcher it, but it's called Haandbryggeriet, so Haandbryggeriet, and it is brewed out of Norway. It's part of the Scandinavian Craft Brewers Guild, and there's one piece of information on this bottle that I wanted to read to you. I normally don't read off the bottle during my reviews because I think it's just kind of an easy way to stretch time, and that's not really what I'm trying to do. But I found the story on this beer to be quite interesting. So here goes. Once, every farm in Norway was required by law to brew its own ale. All of that ale had a naturally smoky taste because the malt was kilned by fire. And most of it was spiced with juniper berries, which is actually in this beer. Norwegian wood, a recreation of that traditional style, is made by the Hand Brewery, which obviously that's the translation of Haandbryggeriet. 4 guys brewing in their spare time on an absurdly small scale. So much like the beers like from Beer Here and Nugna and Mikkeller and a lot of those other beers that come from that part of the world, they brew them in small batches because they really have limited space, and they're just trying to get in anywhere they can to brew their beer. But as I said, I don't know a whole lot about this beer. It is called their Norwegian wood. The alcohol by volume on here, I don't see it. Oh, here we go, 6.5%. So not a real big beer, and that's fine. This one was brewed in March of 2008, so it's already just about 2 years old. In fact, this says best before March of 2010. By the time this airs, it'll probably be March of 2010, so I'm getting in right at time. So, well, anyway, let's go ahead and bust the cap on this bad boy, and we'll see what we get. Really anxious to try this one. There was a little bubble on top that just popped, and now it's just blowing smoke out slowly. I don't know if you can see that, but that's pretty awesome. So let's go ahead and give it a little pour. Now, I'm not going to pour a whole lot because I want to, make sure I get my nose in there and really kind of smell what's going on in the beer. I will tell you, just by looking at it already, it's got a very nice amount of head. I didn't pour too harshly, but it's already got about 2 fingers worth of head on there. The color on it is really pretty, though. It's like a scarlet ruby red color, and it's pretty clear, meaning that I can see my hands through it. I can see out into the front yard right now, but that's a good thing. The head color on it, kind of that off-white, eggshell white color. So pretty traditional head color. The bubbles are just a little bit bigger than what you might find on like a porter or a stout, but really a good looking beer. Almost looks like a rye beer or a really clear barley wine. So, well, I'm going to go ahead and smell it because I'm kind of curious to know what the smoke and juniper berries together is going to smell like. So here we go. Yeah, I definitely get a lot of smoke. That's the first thing that comes out, is the smoke. And I don't get a whole lot of anything else. It's really kind of odd. I'm only getting smoke. It really smells like bacon. I am getting a bit of an estery quality on the back end. And what I mean by estery is that it just kind of has kind of a slightly medicinal nose. Almost like you would, like if you smelled a Band-Aid, like a fresh open Band-Aid. I kind of get that smell in there as well. Really kind of smells like a tree trunk as well. So I'm sure that has a lot to do with the smoking, the smoky characteristic that's coming out of it, but really an interesting smelling beer. So if it's that interesting on the nose, it's probably going to be a little bit more interesting on the palate. So let's do it. That's really nice. It's not the best thing I've ever had. I don't know if I could just sit here and drink this thing all day. I don't know if this is going to be, a session beer. To me, this is a beer that I think would go really good with food. Because it's got that little bit of smokiness, I'm thinking this would actually taste really good with something a little bit more fatty. So I'm kind of thinking, like if you were to make a quiche and put like caramelized onions and bacon and maybe just a little bit of spinach in there and then, lots of Parmesan cheese on the top, I think this would taste really good together with that. Getting a lot of the juniper berry on that second sip. Now I think the first time I took a sip, I really got more of that smokiness. After the smokiness is kind of allowed to sit on your tongue for a minute and dissipate, the second sip starts to unveil, other flavors. And I'm definitely getting the juniper berries on the second sip. It kind of reminds me of, when you bring a fresh Christmas tree into the house and it's got that real sort of fresh, piney, juniper sort of smell. Yeah, it's not bad. If I had to score something like this, it's so unique in its style that I don't really have a whole lot to compare it to. So I'll pretty much have to base everything off of just my impression of it. In terms of the color, I really like the color. I'd score the color, pretty high. The clarity rate's pretty high as well. I like the fact that the head retention is nice on it. The smokiness I'm totally digging. I think a lot of people are really kind of getting into either smoking their malts or doing other things that add a smokiness to it. And I think somewhere at the Beer Advocate, like Extreme Beer Fest recently, somebody was actually brewing beer with bacon. So you can kind of tell there's a fad going on or slowly coming out that relates to bacon. But as far as taste on this one, I think the taste is it's very interesting, and I definitely taste the smokiness. I definitely taste the juniper berries. So that was their intent. So I can't fault them for their intent. With that said, I think this is a really enjoyable beer. I'm probably going to have to go about 85, 86 though. This is not one that I would go out and try to find again. I don't dislike it by any stretch of the imagination. If I went to a beer tasting and somebody had this sitting out and was pouring it, I'd probably have no qualms about taking a few ounces of it. But well, anyway guys, wanted to thank you for coming back to the Hopry again. I'm going to go ahead and sit here and slowly work my way through this beer. I actually might put a cork in the rest of this one and let my wife or one of my friends who might be coming over later tonight try a little bit of this as well. Kind of be curious to see what his thoughts are on this. But well, anyway guys, thanks a lot for coming back to the Hopry. My name is Mark Starr and we'll see you later. Cheers.